July test team of the week, folks, for week number 3, which saw rugby championship teams take on the likes of Fiji, Portugal, Georgia, and Uruguay. There were some other games played, the likes of Scotland against Chile, Italy, Japan, Tonga, Spain, etc. But we're looking at the rugby championship teams in this one. We're going to pick 15 guys who stood out, plus a few honourable mentions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. It's kind of a hard one in this third week because there were a lot of big score lines. There were a lot of big mismatches. Some of these guys I've picked because they had amazing games. Visually easy on the eye, you could see it. Some of the guys put in some really core stats. And some of the guys who just stood up where their teams really needed it. But it's just my pick for 15 guys. You guys can let us know your thoughts. Like the closest matchup was Georgia against Australia in terms of Rugby World rankings. 12th up against 9th. The lowest ranked team was Uruguay at 17. But Argentina are 7, so there's 10 spots between them. There's 14 spots between South Africa and Portugal. So like I said, it has caused a few kind of big mismatches, but it was good to see some of the tier 2 boys in action. I'm going to start with one of the Wallabies boys in Isaac Kailea. I always get a bit of grief when I pick the Aussie front rowers, especially when they play Wales, because people say they're only playing Wales, it doesn't count. Well, that kind of logic goes out the window for this week's video, I guess, because all the matches, as I said, were kind of a little bit on the mismatch side. But Isaac Kailea puts in a good shift in his first start for the Wallabies. He gets a try where he drives over from close range. He gets 11 carries, which is really busy work rate from the prop. He gets 13 meters, which is just averaging over slightly a meter per carry, which is good stuff. Beats a couple of defenders. Makes all of his tackles 7 from 7. Doesn't concede any penalties, which is usually the sign that a prop is doing well. Remember, they played Georgia, who've got better props than some of the other teams around the world. I wouldn't say Georgia is as fearsome as they used to be at scrum time, but certainly they're no slouches. So for the Aussies to put in a good effort against the Georgian front row is pleasing. And then also the captain, Alan Alatoa, I'm just going to put triple A. 10 from 10 tackles from him. Also doesn't concede any penalties. Also busy on the carry. He has 8 of them. When Kailea gets his try, who's the guy driving him over the line? It's his propping partner. So Alan Alatoa drives Kailea over. 4 passes and an offload. And then I think key for the Aussies is, remember, if you watch the games against Wales, boy, did they look weak on maul defense. Whereas this game, no, they looked pretty good with their maul defense and even managed to score a couple of maul tries of their own. So come rugby championship time, when they get a test from teams stronger than the likes of Georgia, stronger than the likes of Wales, the Aussie front row is absolutely going to need to front up. We saw a little bit of that, I think, in this one. Still a long road to go, but optimistic signs. Hooker, I am going to go with Ignacio Ruiz. Now, if you were just picking on stats, you would probably pick the entire Argentinian 15 because they absolutely mopped the floor with Uruguay. And like I mentioned, like Uruguay is the lowest ranked of the teams that played. But the gap between Argentina and Uruguay is, as I said, closer than the likes of South Africa and Portugal. So it should have been a closer game than it was. Like Uruguay at the World Cup put in some decent shifts. Sure, they got hammered by New Zealand, but they were at home. Like New Zealand, Fiji was neutral. South Africa was at home. Australia was at home. Argentina were the only side playing away. And they had no Montoya. Montoya's out injured. Remember, Crevy's not been picked in the squad. So you got Ignacio Ruiz, who doesn't get that much game time. Plays a really solid shift. He sets up a try. He has a clean break. He has 4 defenders beaten. He makes all of his tackles 4 from 4, one of which is dominant. Their line out, 3 weeks in a row now, has been almost perfect. 93% for this one, just 1 goes awry. So really encouraging for the Argentinians. They are the one side, like over this July period, we've seen the All Blacks, we've seen Ireland, even South Africa to a degree, below their kind of normal high standards of line-out time. Even when they played badly in their first game against France, the Argentinian line-out looked all right. So good to see Ignacio Ruiz step up in the absence of the likes of a Montoya. Locks, I'm going to go with one of the Georgians, actually, in Mikhail Babunashvili. He managed to get himself a try, which would be kind of unexpected. Burrows over from close range. He literally has 2 carries for 1 meter and comes away with a try. So not a bad shift, but where he is really strong is his defensive work. 19 from 19 tackles is what he's credited with. Anytime you get near 20 is right up there. I think there's one of the Georgian Lucies, I think it was Jalagonia, had more tackles than him for sure. but certainly really, really busy. Anytime you get near 20 is a very good effort. He wins a line out. And there's a couple of times when the Aussies were almost getting held up in a tackle, and he is certainly one of the guys. He's not credited with any turnovers, but certainly helps to hold those guys up. So, yeah, good effort from the Georgian lock. And then other lock, I'm going to go with finally getting a start for the Boks, old Achia Snyman. He has a try assist where he offloads for Vessels, and it's his offloading game, which is genuinely his point of difference, isn't it? Like, South Africa's got a lot of good locks, but nobody who's quite got the offloading game of Achia Snyman. So that sets him up with a try assist. And of the 9 passes he makes in this game, 5 are offloads. So more than half of the time, he is getting those big rangy mitts to offload the ball, which is just such a great asset because he can draw in defenders and then open up the space for somebody else. He has 10 runs for 24 meters, which for a lock is a great return. A clean break, beats a defender. He has 4 from 5 tackles. The only thing is he has 3 penalties conceded. So not a perfect outing. 3 penalties conceded. One of those ones, it's a typical Achia Snyman moment where there's a bit of handbags. You know he's involved, and the referee reverses a penalty to ping him for kind of escalating things. But yeah, we'll forgive him for that one. I mean, a lot of refs would have just said, like, no more of that. But Holly Davidson was being a bit stricter than what we kind of normally see. Loose forwards, I'm going to go with another Springbok. As I said, if I was just picking on stats, I would have probably picked the Argentinian guy Moro. Maybe would have picked Valentini from the Aussies. But Ben Jason Dixon just looked really, really comfortable. And he had a lot of pressure put on him this week by Rassie Erasmus saying, like, he needs to play like Pieter-Steph du Toit. Well, he really did, didn't he? Really, really busy outing for him. He has a try, which is always nice. A bit of icing on the cake from a nice pick and go at pace as well to not let the ball kind of sit and let the defensive line for Portugal set. Nah, he picked a go at pace, got himself over the try line. And then it's his work rate, man. 12 carries, 42 meters. 2 defenders beaten. It's Herculean. 7 passes and an offload. He wins a line out. Makes 5 tackles, 2 of which are dominant. Doesn't concede any turnovers. He does concede 1 penalty, but yeah, it just looked really, really busy, really, really comfortable around the park. He's a big human being, and with Pieter-Steph, you know, having a bit of an injury cloud about him, it's good to see Ben Jason Dixon put in that kind of performance. Like I said, there were guys who had better stats, but just my kind of gut feeling gave me a really good feeling about Ben Jason Dixon and what he could do with the Springboks going forward. I had to go with Fraser McCright as the number 7 because he continues to impress. I think this is 2 weeks in a row that I've picked him. He finishes 2 tries, both of which are maul tries for the Aussies, and he is just into a bit of everything. Does he get turnovers? Yes, 2 of them. Is he one of their top tacklers? 12 from 13. Yes. Does he concede any penalties? No. Is he there in open field from a line-out move? Yes, he gets 13 carries for 58 meters. The clean breakers from a line-out, beats 3 defenders. 11 passes. Like, this guy's a number 7. 11 passes. Crazy, crazy. Yeah, just look in the business. Aussies and their number 7s, eh? It's just really a thing. And then a guy who's been in the news recently that he's leaving the Hurricanes, Ardie Savea. I think that's his best game of the 3 that the All Blacks have played. Obviously, they played Fiji, so different kettle of fish from playing England, but Ardie Savea, I think, starting to warm up. Certainly not his best game that we've ever seen, but as I said, I think he's starting to warm up. He gets a try, drives over from close range, showing that kind of typical leg drive that we're used to seeing from him. He has 11 runs for 40 meters, which is a pretty good effort, given that he's a number 8. 7 defenders beaten is massive. He's got a clean break. He has 11 passes, including that massive dummy that he does. He pulled that out one for this game. 100% tackle rate with 7 from 7. Wins a line out. Doesn't concede any penalties. He didn't win any turnovers, which is uncharacteristic, but he did have 1 turnover conceded. But yeah, overall, Ardie starting to get back to his finest. Number 9 was a tough one. And again, kind of like Ben Jason Dixon, I've gone with kind of a gut feeling pick more than just a stats pick, but his stats are also really good. I've gone with Cortez Ratima from the ABs. Now, he didn't play a full half. It's kind of like when I picked Bodie in my team last week. Bodie was a sub. Ratima got subbed up to 35 minutes because he had an HIA. He got smashed into the ground, basically. But from the 35 minutes we saw of him, and again, kind of like Ben Jason Dixon for the Boks, promising signs. Now, it's only against Fiji, like I said, so you got to kind of take the game into context, but man, did he look good. His pass is sharp. It's really nice. After you've seen Aaron Smith passes for all those years, it's nice to see a guy who can really fire the ball. 43 passes. He's pretty crisp. He kicks it a couple of times, but the All Blacks were more kicking off D-Mac's boot than Ratima's one. He finishes with a try where he snipes. He gets a try assist for Savia, where it's that kind of quick ball. Makes 2 from 3 tackles. But yeah, just looked, 3 runs for 41 meters. Not bad. So he's got the sniping game in him. He's got the fast pass. Picks good options. I think there was a little bit of a... Hotham played all right from the bench, I thought, but I think Ratima's service is just that little bit sharper. So, yeah, promising signs, I think, for him. We'll kind of have to wait and see how it goes. Number 10, also, maybe this is kind of a gut feeling pick because this is a substitute. Sasha Feinberg Mngomezulu. Like, again, if I was picking just on stats, you obviously pick Albanoz from the Pumas because he made like 4 try assists. But remember, the Pumas put on almost 80 points over Uruguay. But Sasha Feinberg Mngomezulu also looks like one for the future or for the now. And not just based on this game, but upon from the games we've seen him play ever since he got his debut just a few weeks ago. But man, like a lot of people were kind of piling in on Libok. I think still Libok runs the show really well. But it's just this goal kicking which lets him down. Whereas Sasha has the playmaking and then also kicks 100% of his goals. 10 points from him, 5 conversions, not all easy kicks as well. So great to see that kind of accuracy from a guy who can also play make. He comes off in the second half, sets up 2 tries. I'm pretty sure they were both Mapimpi tries. Mapimpi played pretty well as well. But yeah, playmaking, sets up 2 tries. 4 runs for 44 meters is a heck of a return. He's got a clean break and 3 defenders beaten in that time. He puts in 3 kicks. I'm pretty sure at least one of them was a 50-22 where he had kind of a little grin. Like even he knew that was a good kick. 2 from 3 tackles. He does miss that one on Dos Santos, which he'll be disappointed in. Like again, not a perfect effort. He's got room for improvement. He does miss a tackle, which directly leads to a Portuguese try. But man, he looks the business. Need to see him start at 10 one of these days against a team stronger than Portugal to see if he can kind of replicate that form. But from what we've seen of him, very, very, very encouraging. Midfield, I can't ignore the Argentinian guys all day. Geronimo de la Fuente, man, he rolled back the clock against Uruguay. Like, he's getting on. He's in his 30s. He's not the quickest guy anymore, but he still managed 117 meters and showed that he's still got a bit of gas, which is pleasing. He scores a try, which is out on the left wing. He sets up 2 tries for the loose forward Morrow. He's got 3 defenders beat. He's got a couple of clean breaks, 20 passes. Like, he's always been a great playmaker. He's never been a big tackle buster. He's never been the quickest guy, but as I said, roll back the clock with this one. Made 100% of his tackles, 3 from 3. Didn't concede any penalties. Really, really solid. So he's always been one of my kind of favorite Argentinian players because of his ability to read the game. But yeah, he found himself in the right place at the right time in this one. And yeah, had a pretty good effort. 13, and this is another one where I'm optimistic about how things might go. But I am also cautious to say it's only one game, and it was a pretty lopsided game against Fiji. But Billy Proctor looked very good for the All Blacks. A lot of people are kind of saying, like, you know, Rico's in trouble. You got a 13 who actually knows how to pass the ball. One game. But what a game. Like, he played so well. He scored a try where they had numbers out wide. He had a try assist where he popped the ball for Reese. I think he would have had a try assist for Caleb Clark's one, which got chalked off. 9 passes and an offload from him is great to see. But obviously, the All Blacks had a bit more ball than normal. But I'm pretty sure in his last game, Rico didn't pass it once. So it was nice to see a 13 chucking it about. I will admit that. But I am still cautious not to like lay the world at his feet based on one performance. But man, 11 runs for 96 meters, 4 clean breaks and 8 defenders beaten is insane. 7 from 10 tackles. He would obviously like that to be a bit higher. He conceded 1 penalty. So again, by all means, not perfect. And Rico's defensive game has actually been really good. But yeah, Billy Proctor looked really, really good for the All Blacks. Outside backs, one of the veterans, if I can spell his name, Makazole Mapimpi, 3 tries for him out on the left wing, and he doesn't seem to slow down still. he's still got gas. Again, it's against Portugal, but 14 runs for 122 meters, 4 clean breaks, and 5 defenders beaten is just nuts. Like, for a guy who should be slowing down, he doesn't look to be doing any of it. Finds himself at the right place at the right times. He's got a bit of power for that final try that he gets for the hat-trick. Makes 4 out of 5 tackles, a couple of passes, puts in a kick. Doesn't concede any penalties. Man, Mapimpi. How long can he keep going? He is a very good player. And then one of the Argentinian boys, like the popular choice has to be the Georgian, Tabutaza, for that try against Australia. Absolutely fan choice has to be that one because it's length of the field. You will not see a better try this weekend, I don't think. But Ignacio Mendy, you can't not put him in. 3 tries also. One of them he kind of beats the tackler out wide. Second one he steps the tackler out wide. Third one is basically just a walk-in. But 3 tries, could have had 4. Sets up another try as well to De La Fuente. So he's got 3 tries and an assist. 235 meters. Like, to get 100 is hard. Again, Uruguay didn't play that well. But 235 meters, 6 clean breaks, double figures for defenders beaten with 10. 3 from 4 tackles, 6 passes and an offload. My goodness. The Argentinians have got some good outside backs. They were really, really letting loose for that game against Uruguay. And they showed that if they get the ball, they can play some classy rugby. And lastly, I am going to put one of the Portuguese guys in. I'm just going to kind of sneak him here at fullback. But Dos Santos, like, talk about a game to remember. He wasn't even supposed to play that many minutes. He comes on for an injury, scores 2 tries. Not many guys score 2 tries in one game away against the Springboks, especially when they're the world champions. Like, yeah, they better be buying him a few drinks after this game. Good support line and some gas. Real gas for that first one. Beaten Gomazulu for the second one. So great confidence. 7 runs for 145 meters. Like I talk about the 235 that Mendy got. That was against Uruguay. 145 meters against Springboks. Again, a lot of them are kind of that support line one where he didn't have anyone in front of him. He just had the gas, but still. 4 defenders beaten. A clean break. 3 passes and an offload. Like, he misses Mapimpi for one of the Mapimpi tries. So 3 from 8 tackles is not great. But come on, man. We got to celebrate a guy like that. Getting a day like that up against a team like that. Jose Dos Santos, memorable performance from him. Some honourable mentions. The other 2 Lucies for the Aussies were obviously really good. Valentini and Wilson, you could easily have both of them. Jalagonia for the Georgians was also a tackling machine, as I mentioned. Moro on his debut for Argentina got, I think, 2 tries and an assist. He was looking very, very confident. You know, DMAC was taking the ball to the line well for the All Blacks. Albanoz, I think if you're just picking on stats, you absolutely pick him as your number 10. Lucanio Am certainly looked like he's not gone away. Like, you know, he's been out of that 13 jersey for a while for the Springboks, but he showed that he still got it. Paisami for the Wallabies was also really good. ALB for the All Blacks was also really magic. Like, makes you wonder if that All Blacks midfield might be better off with him starting. Mateo Carreras on the left wing for Argentina had a good night. Tabutaza, as I mentioned, for the Georgians, try of the weekend for sure. If you were just picking on one moment, you absolutely have him. Fijians didn't have their finest outing. Waningolo looked pretty sharp. Denied 1 try. Clark, also for the All Blacks, looked really sharp. Niniashvili at fullback for the Georgians looked really impressive. Fussy for the Box looked really comfortable at the back. Fletcher Newell the scrummaging. Thomas Dutoy had a big scrum. But yeah, that's 15 guys from the weekend's games. You guys let us know your thoughts on who you would have in. Who was your kind of pick of the weekend, especially from the Tier 2 teams? Which are the guys that you really maybe hadn't seen before or hadn't seen since the World Cup that you thought put their hand up? And which of these guys do you think are ones for the future? Do you think Billy Proctor lives up to the potential for the All Blacks? Do you think Feinberg and Gomazulu looks as good as I think he looks right now? You guys let us know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.